So there are some benefits to the rain in Ireland. So I came to visit the grave of Jim Slattery, who was one of Michael Collins' men, one of the squad in St. Corbin Cemetery in Naas, but it was lashing rain, so I had to hide. And the caretaker, whose name I didn't get unfortunately, he was telling me about a couple of very interesting graves that are here that I didn't know about. So I'll go through them quickly. Some of them are related to John Devoy. Others almost brought a halt to the Irish or the British withdrawal from Ireland, and others were members of the old IRA. So we're starting here with, this is James Hickey. He was Commandant of Secoy, the 6th Battalion Carlow Brigade of the old IRA, and Commandant of the National Army. So he would have been Commandant of the National Army during the Irish Civil War, so probably maybe took command after the death of Michael Collins. But he was, commander of the old IRA and the Carlow Brigade, which is another lesser known one, similar to Tom Harris of Kildare, who was commandant of the Kildare IRA. As some of them didn't see as much action, but they would have been auxiliaries, like helps with logistics and support. So that was Mr. Hickey, and now we'll make our way over to a man whose death almost brought down the British withdrawal from Ireland, and that was, I'll get his name now in a second, but he was a gentleman who was executed, or who was killed during a robbery while the treaty negotiations were going on. He was killed by 3 men in Kildare, as he was from Naas. But following his death, where is he gone now? Following his death, and now we're at the grave of a man whose death almost brought down the treaty negotiations, and that is the Honourable Hubert Wan Brown, Royal Field Artillery, who died in Kildare on February 10th, 1922, aged 25 years old. So following his death, the British Army troop withdrawals were stopped or halted in Ireland, and the IRA, along with the British Army and whatever police forces were still in operation at the time, they were brought in to track down who had murdered them. So the British withdrawal from Ireland was halted, and Michael Collins was tasked with reassuring Churchill that everything was being done to capture this man. And that's obviously because it was supposed to be peacetime, and this was still someone who served as part of the British establishment and who was killed. But he was the Honourable Hubert Wan Brown, and his family was from Kildare. And then lastly, we'll go over to Eliza, I think it's Eliza Kilmurray, and she was the childhood sweetheart of John Devoy, so the great Fenian. And we've also this little plaque here in St. Corbin's. This is the Kildare Brigade of the IRA. So Sean O'Sullivan, Kildare Brigade IRA, and then Seamus Whelan and Eamon O'Neill, who died in June 1922 and August 1922. And then, John Devoy, who was the greatest of the Fenians and who lived a lot of his life in exile in America. He was originally from Kill and was forced to immigrate to America because of his activities. And while he was there, he heard that his childhood sweetheart had died, which turned out to not be true. So it's Elizabeth Kilmurray, and that's the childhood sweetheart of John Devoy. Said, from what I was quickly reading, when he returned, he found out that she was alive. Obviously, he was in poor health, as they were long time had passed. So he came back to Naas and met his childhood sweetheart. So that was Elizabeth Kilmurray. And then finally, we'll go down to the grave of Jim Slattery, who was one of Michael Collins' men and who was injured during the Customs House attack, losing a hand, sorry. So he was one of the original members of the squad, was involved in Bloody Sunday and lost a hand while trying to help Sean Doyle, who was another member of the squad and who was killed during the Customs House attack. But Jim Slattery, as named here, Colonel James Slattery, he went on to move to Sallins following the Irish Civil War, and he was a farmer, so he must have been a tough enough fella because he was able to maintain being a farmer even with just one hand. And there's an old picture of some of the squad members meeting up in a pub in Sallins, which I'll try and link or put in here somewhere. But this is the grave of James Slattery, one of the last members of Michael Collins' squad is buried in Ireland. Now, he passed away in 1974. And that's Colonel Jim Slattery.